Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking at a book in the APIL series linked with Jordan's Publishing, APIL being the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers. It's this volume here, Guide to Occupational Illness Claims, and it's now in a second edition. The general editor is Christopher Goddard from Nine Square, and he's had Gough Square rather, and he's had a series of people contributing who have given great assistance to his work. I'm very pleased with this book because it's an area of law which I practice in. The book itself has a very short index at the back. What you have got are some very useful draft pleadings in this particular specialist area, which I found very helpful, certainly on particulars of damage and so forth. What you've got, again, is that's in the appendices, which are towards the back of the book. You do have nice paragraph numbering at the sides, which you can probably see there, and there are in fact some footnotes with the case law which would be relevant. There are also a lot of quite detailed points because, as I've indicated, this is really quite a specialist area. So you start off with the general principles and then the occupational illness itself. And I've had a number of cases recently in this area, some of which are very difficult, because there's a lot of dispute over liability matters. Then you've got, in fact, in chapter 15, the general damages area, which is quite useful. Comments made about this book, which I thought were quite interesting. The New Law Journal said, plenty of material that will give considerable assistance and comfort to practitioners involved in the day-to-day running of occupational illness claims. And certainly during a time of heightened economic downturn, this is actually, I think, an important work because of the way some employers might be behaving. One of the areas which is very important, of course, is stress. Now, what I'm going to say about this in very short terms, do read the review we've put on the web and in the journals. What we're saying, though, is that the new edition, which APIL and Jordan's have come up with, is a practical handbook, again, very much a one-stop shop handbook, designed for all those involved in this specialist area of personal injury litigation. It provides basically a number of pointers. One is an outline of the myriad statutory provisions which regulate the area and the effective date of those provisions, the nature and medical background of common occupational illnesses. I appreciate, of course, we're not medical people, but we do have to have some understanding of the medical effects of what we're doing as advocates. An explanation of the problems associated with complicated expert evidence. That, I think, is very helpful because they can blind you with science sometimes, these experts. Practical advice on pursuing and valuing a claim, which is always good from the point of view of advising the client, and expert drafting precedents, which is the stuff basically in the appendices at the back. I'm very pleased with this book, and I'll end with a comment which I rather liked from the editor, who says in a very interesting preface, he goes to Lewis Carroll and says, "You should bear in mind the words of the Red Queen to Alice, quote, 'Now here you see it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. If you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that.'" That's through the looking glass and what Alice found there. An interesting point, because one of the things about this area of law is you've got to be looking ahead, certainly when you're advising the client. I'd like to thank APIL for taking this work on. It's a great short book for us as we go into court and prepare the cases, and I'd like to thank Jordan's for overseeing it. It's very useful to have in my library. Thank you. Bye-bye.